Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Zone YouTube channel. And for the last time in season 24-25, welcome back to our Premier League predictions, match day 38. The end is here. A few teams battling it out for Champions League positions, Europa League positions, and potentially maybe a Europa Conference League position up for grabs as well in there. But outside of that, the storylines have been written. It's a bit of fun on the final day, and as such, there's going to be some interesting games to predict here with teams just going out there and having a kick with their mates, as you would in a few of these games in the weekend. Looking at our total for our prediction points, added 8 points in the last match day, taking our total to 260 on the season, which is not too shabby. Looking for maybe 8 to 10 more here to get that 270 mark. That'd be very, very impressive, I think, for myself this season. With that being said, ladies and gents, let's now get straight into these Premier League predictions. Starting on the south coast, it's Bournemouth and Leicester. The Cherries having a bit of a rough time at this current point in time. They come off the back of that 3-1 loss to Manchester City. Only have 2 wins in their last 11 games in all competitions, and have really been a shadow of themselves, not only defensive, but also going forward in recent weeks. And in this game here, again, with the foot off the accelerator, with a chance to go and express themselves, I'm looking at Tavernier, Semenyo, Kaliber to stand up and show what they're all about here. Finish the season off on a high note. They started the season off being strong defensively, very dangerous in transition going forward, and one of the best attacking sides as we got into the new year. But then into 2025, really struggled at both ends of the park. And I want to see the Semenyo, which we're used to. I want to see the Tavernier, which we're used to in the final third. Dangerous, taking players on, looking to pass, one-touch football in the final third, and ripping apart this Leicester back line, which they can absolutely definitely do. Leicester City, however, 2-0 win versus Ipswich last time out. The perfect send-off for Jamie Vardy at the King Power. They've picked up 7 points from the last 3 games, so done very, very well in that time there, scoring 6 goals in their last 5 games as well. So they've ended the season off on a high, playing a bit more complete football at both ends of the park. It's linking up, and as such, the results have improved. And as I said about Bournemouth's wide players, I'm looking at the wide defenders for Leicester City to stand up in this game here. James Justin, Luke Thomas, 2 of the brighter sparks this season, potentially playing for Premier League contracts next season if they can do well again in this game here. Look to them trying to shut down Bournemouth's ability to play with width and keep Leicester City compact defensively. With that being said, again, 2 teams not playing for much, but Bournemouth quality will show, I think, in this game here. They finished the season off on a high at home. I've gone with a 3-1 win for the Cherries here, ending Leicester's miserable Premier League season. Craven Cottage is the location for Fulham and Manchester City. Obviously for Fulham last time had a fabulous comeback victory, 3-2 to beat Brentford at the G-Tech. They look to carry over that momentum yet again here versus Manchester City. It's been a real mixed bag for them all season long. It's meant they've finished, I guess, exactly where many expected, which is quite rightly in the mid-table. 2 wins and 3 losses in their last 5 games. However, no clean sheet in the last 9 is the big stat that stands out for me. They look to be much better defensively here versus Manchester City, and that falls on Bassey and Anderson at the back. These 2 have been, I think, the litmus test for Fulham many times this season. When they've played their best football, Fulham have often played some of their best football. We know with Fulham, clean sheets is the foundation for some of their best runs of form this season. Can they keep it tight? Can they limit the impact of Kevin De Bruyne? Can they limit the impact of Erling Haaland, Bernardo Silva and company in the final third there, by being 2 solid centre-halves that keep City at arm's length? If they can do so, it goes a long way in this game for them being a competitive side. Obviously, City last time had a massive 3-1 win at home versus Bournemouth. Basically locks in Champions League football for next season. And I guess that's something to hold on to from this season that's been so dire with no trophies in all competitions. Look, they've conceded only 2 goals in their past 5 games. It's coincided with 3 victories across all competitions. I look to try and have that as a foundation yet again here. Be solid defensively. Ruben Diaz, Josko Vardiol standing up there at the back, Nico O'Reilly as well. And then going forward, I think that's where the game can be changed here. Umar Marmoush was fantastic versus Bournemouth. Erling Haaland, obviously coming back from that injury, looking to get more involved in this game here. And for City, it's about finishing how you want to continue next season. And I think it's all about that front line being more connected, being more together. And it's a great opportunity here to do that versus a Fulham side that is really got nothing to play for. For City, a point will be enough, and I think the point will be what they'll pick up in this game here. I've gone with the 1-1 draw. I think Fulham will be dogged, and they'll be tough to beat. It's a Marco Silva side at the end of the day, and I think Pep's side doesn't have enough to get over the line in this game here for me. As such, a 1-1 draw. We're off to Portman Road for the last time this season as Ipswich play host to West Ham United. The inaugural season in the Premier League for Ipswich has not been fantastic, but there's been some high moments throughout the year, and I want to finish off on a high note here at home. It's been a real tough month or so come the back end of the season here. They lost last time out away to Leicester City, 2-0. They've only scored 2 goals in their past 5 games and no wins in their past 7. So it has been a real downward trajectory since they found out they were getting relegated. Look, in this game here, if they want to have anything to build upon, it's about defensive solidity. I'm looking at O'Shea and Greaves at the back, the 2 centre-halves. Can they limit the effect that Kudus and Bowen will have down the middle? Can they limit Thomas Souček's late runs into the box and goal threat in and around the box? That's going to be pivotal. If Ipswich can keep the clean sheet for as long as they possibly can, their chance of victory grows in this game here. But we just haven't seen them be solid enough defensively at all this season. And that's going to be a big calling card here versus West Ham. The Hammers were improved. A 2-1 loss to Forest last time out. Far from their best performance, but much closer to what we're hoping to see from West Ham come next season. They've scored 7 goals in their past 5 games, which has seen a much greater output under Potter, and only, however, 1 win in that time there. So looking to convert those goals into victories and a few more clean sheets defensively. And I look again to this game here, again, a bit of a free, open-ended type game with nothing to really play for. Bowen and Kudus up top, show us what you're all about, show the danger you can provide, and show what could be the future for West Ham United come next season. Kudus may not be there, but Jared Bowen is going to be a central figure to this West Ham side. I think he'll show out in this game here versus Ipswich. I've gone with the Hammers 2-1 win here away from home. It's going to be tough in the early goings, considering it's Ipswich's last game in the Premier League, but West Ham will grow into the game, and eventually they'll come out on top, showing their quality in this game here. It's party time at Anfield as Liverpool play host to Crystal Palace. The Premier League champions take on the FA Cup champions. I think we're in for a really, really exciting game, this one here. Liverpool going down 3-2 to Brighton last time out. But again, you can take it with a grain of salt because they have been into Ibiza, they've been to Dubai. They've barely trained. I don't think this team is totally on the beach. They've not picked up a win in their last 3 games. They've conceded 8 goals in that time there. It really has ruined their season records in terms of defensive solidity and points totals. And look in this game here, Mo Salah for me is the key look for Liverpool. He is 2 assists away from 20 assists this season and 2 goals away from 30 goals this season. Can he get one or the other done? It'd be a real historic season if he could do so. And look, there's a real opportunity here. Both teams are going to be very casual coming to this game here. A few beers consumed, I think, throughout the week. So there's a real chance here that Mo Salah could go and add a bit of history to what has been an already terrific season. Looking at Palace, it was a fantastic win, backing it up from the FA Cup versus Wolves midweek. A 4-2 come-from-behind victory there. Some great attacking football played by the Eagles. Their best points tally ever under Oliver Glasner now, backing up from a trophy. They'll come into this game obviously relaxed, but with a lot of confidence to play some great football yet again. They've not lost in their past 7 games. They've scored 11 goals in their past 5 games. It's all clicking in the final third right now, and I'm looking to some of the rotational players to show out yet again. Roman Essa, Eddie Nketiah, Ismail Assar's front 3 were fantastic versus Wolves. How will they go in this game versus Liverpool? I'm very, very excited to see how they go. Again, it's going to be back and forth. It's going to be open. I think Palace get a win here away from home at Anfield. I've gone with a 3-2 Palace win. Some of these players are very hungry on the Palace bench, and Liverpool players, well, they have not been at the races for the last 3 weeks. So I'm going to go with the Palace 3-2 victory here at Anfield. Manchester United end their miserable season at home versus Aston Villa. Obviously coming off the back of that disastrous 1-0 loss in the Europa League final and that 1-0 loss to Chelsea last week in the Premier League. No goals scored in the past 3 games for Manchester United. No Premier League win in over 9 games. It has been a dull season, an awful season, the worst in the club's history, and it feels like it is rock bottom for Manchester United. And look, this game here, heavy rotation expected. Look to the youngsters yet again. How will Harry Amas fare in another Premier League game? How will Kobe Mainoo go? Aiden Heaven, Chidi Obi Martin. Look at these sort of players going to next season who are potentially playing for higher roles. Look what Kobe Manu did in his first half season, how he built into the starting 11 going in that year. After that, that's a chance for Aiden Heaven to do that. It's a chance for Harry Amas, Toby Collier to potentially do that. Put the name out there so they can get more minutes come next season. That's a real chance here versus a very top quality side in Aston Villa, who easily beat Spurs 2-0 last time out at Villa Park. They've won 3 straight games, keeping 3 clean sheets. And it's not only been their defensive acumen, it's been their forward play as well. With Marcus Rashford missing, the link up between Asensio, Rodgers and Watkins has been a very bright sign for Aston Villa. We know that Rodgers has been basically their leader in the final third all season long, but Marco Asensio has been a fantastic touch across the last 2 months. He has been the live wire in the final third. Look to him to tear apart this Manchester United back line, and look to Aston Villa to just cause all sorts of havoc, especially with the pace and the quality they've got in the final third. I think United stand no chance in this game here. I've gone with the Villa 3-0 win here at Old Trafford. Man United finish their season off on a 10-game streak without a win. We remain up north as Newcastle play host to Everton. St James's Park, we're bouncing here on the final day. Obviously, last time out, Newcastle United got that 1-0 loss at the Emirates to Arsenal, which ends their push for second place. But they want to keep a hold of third place in the Premier League, and top of it has been a really great season for them. A trophy in third place is absolutely overachieving what we thought of Newcastle United this season. Look, they've won only 3 games in their past 5, but they've only conceded 3 goals in that time here. The reintroduction of that defensive solidity has been a real bright spark. But what we've seen across those 2 losses has been an inability to find the back of the net. And with Alexander Isak missing, big job for Callum Wilson to find the back of the net in this game here. We know Everton are very solid defensively. They're very pragmatic under David Moyes. Looking at Callum Wilson lead that line and be clinical in the box, and looking for support from the likes of Harvey Barnes and Anthony Gordon in the final third to make sure Newcastle are clinical and do have that spark in the final third. Looking at Everton, they got a famous 2-0 victory last time out, ending their time at Goodison Park on a high. They're unbeaten in the last 3 games. They scored 7 goals in that time there as well. And as such, those wide spaces where McNeil and Njai have absolutely dominated all season long will be the keys to them yet again. We know Newcastle are so robust. They're so solid defensively. They're so hard to beat in terms of the physicality. But if they can get the ball into the wide spaces to Njai, to McNeil, that's Everton's brightest spark for me. That's where they look most dangerous. And that's the chance they can get here to try and beat this Newcastle United side at St James's Park. With that being said, I think Newcastle in far too good a form. They're at home. That crowd will be right behind them. I think for me, they cruise to a 3-0 victory here for me. Game of the weekend is Nottingham Forest play host to Chelsea. These 2 teams competing and jousting for positions in European football next season. Chelsea need these points to make sure they stay in Champions League football. Forest want to try and push up into the Europa League positions. So lots to play for these 2 sides here. Forest got that hard, scrappy win against West Ham last time out. A 2-1 win there, massive for their season and to keep the hopes of Europa League football alive. However, their recent run of form has been really pathetic. Only 1 win, 2 draws and 2 losses in their past 5 Premier League games, but only 1 point off that top 5 position where they could potentially even get Champions League football at the end of this match day here. For me, it's all about counter-attacking football. In recent weeks, they haven't been able to do that. They've had to be the aggressors in terms of possession of the football. Against Chelsea, they can sit in and they can counter-attack. So Wood, Elanga up top will be so important to be clinical and be speedy in behind the back line here to try and get at Chelsea in transition and try and refine that spark which Nottingham Forest have. And when they play their best football, they play it in transition. So that'll be the key for them in this game here. For Chelsea, they cruised that 1-0 victory last time out versus Manchester United. 4 wins and 1 loss in their past 5 games. Yes, they're going into European final next week, but all the focus will be on the Premier League this week to secure Champions League football. For me, once again, the midfield combination will be the key for me. Enzo Fernandez alongside Moises Caicedo, 2 fantastic players and probably 1 and 2 for Chelsea's player of the season this year. They've been fabulous in midfield, and against Nottingham Forest, who can win the ball back in midfield and commence their counter-attack from there. It's so important these two midfielders are safe in possession. They make the right passes. They don't be lazy in possession and turn the ball over. And then equally so, when they do lose the football, Chelsea, these two are snapping at the feet of Nottingham Forest players to prevent that quick pass forward and prevent Nottingham Forest getting on the counter-attack. I think these two have the quality to control this game, control the momentum, and keep Chelsea in charge. But I don't think they pick up all 3 points here. I've got both these two teams cancelling each other out. I've gone with a 1-1 draw here at the City ground. It'll be enough for Chelsea to stay in the top 5, but for Nottingham Forest, not enough to jump in to the Champions League positions. Southampton and Arsenal is our next game here. The final game at St Mary's for this season. Look at Southampton. Well, another poor result last time out. A 2-0 loss away at Everton. And they've only scored 2 goals in their past 5 games. Haven't scored in their last 3. It's been a real problem for them in the last few weeks. After a few sort of bright sparks with a few defensive draws and important points to beat that lowest points tally, they've really struggled, however, in the final third across that time there. Look, the likes of Fernandes and Dibbling in the final third, they could be the difference makers here. They could add a little bit more of a spark for Southampton. But against his Arsenal side, I give them 0 chance because they got that 1-0 win last time out versus Newcastle United. Yes, they've only got 2 wins in their past 5 Premier League games, but they've been absolutely the second best team all season and very dangerous in all competitions. And I look at this game here, Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard, I think they just dominate this game here. They own the midfield battle. They keep Arsenal at top, and as such, I can see Arsenal absolutely dominating this game here. I've gone with an Arsenal 4-0 win here away from home. That strike force gets some goals in their bag. I wouldn't be surprised if Declan Rice runs a show in this game here for me. We're at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for Spurs and Brighton. What a night on Wednesday night it was for Tottenham Hotspur. They are Europa League champions, meaning Champions League football waits the next season. There'll be a heavily rotated squad coming to this game here, similar to that one that went down 2-0 to Villa last time out in the Premier League. They've only got 1 win in their past 12 Premier League games, but they will be playing Champions League football next season. Look, in this game here, if they want to be competitive, the rotational defenders, Reguilon, Jed Spence, Davies and Dance are going to have to be at their best, keeping that Brighton front line quiet, limiting their ability to get into wide spaces and use their pace to get in behind this Tottenham back line. If you can keep it compact defensive, you keep yourself in the game, maybe you nick a point or maybe you potentially get a very famous win here with a heavily rotated Tottenham Hotspur side. Looking at Brighton, they've got a little bit more to compete for. A small chance of European football, still alive after that 3-2 victory versus Liverpool last time out. They've won 3 of their past 4 games. They've scored 9 goals in that time there. That's all coming good for Brighton, but it's maybe just a little bit too late for this side here. I'm looking at this game versus Tottenham. They're going to be heavily rotated. They're not going to be at the races. So the likes of Ayari and Gruder centrally are going to be so important to run the show, keep the work rate, keep the energy up, and keep at Tottenham's throat to get in control of this game if you're Brighton Hove Albion. I think they'll do it quite easily here. Spurs have nothing to play for. Brighton have that hope of European football alive for next season. I think they absolutely bossed this game here. A 3-0 Brighton win away from home. They get the job done. They finish the season off on a high and keep their hopes of European football, although slim, alive for next season. We're at the Molineux for Wolverhampton and Brentford in our final game here. This is going to be a very entertaining game, I believe. Wolves, obviously, they lost 4-2 to Palace last time out. Made a great start there, but gave it away late on to some great Crystal Palace goals. They've lost 3 in a row despite scoring 6 goals in their past 5 games. Haven't quite ended the season off as they would have hoped so. They went on a great run prior to these 3 consecutive losses. And look, as a final chance for these Wolf fans to see Matheus Cunha and Strand Larsen and Sarabia link up in the final third. And I think it'll be a very open game here, back and forth. I think those 3 players could put on a show for the home crowd here in the final game at the Molineux. Looking at Brentford, they also lost to Fulham in a superb comeback for Fulham last time out as well. That 3-2 loss there. They have won 4 out of the last 5 Premier League games. You obviously know their front line's dangerous in their own rights. Kevin Schade, Brian Mbeumo and Johan Visser having goals and assists for fun since the turn of the new year. But look, I think it's a game where the home crowd the home team play the better football. It's going to be open. It's going to be back and forth. But I think Wolves end up running out winners in this game here for me. 3-1 win over Brentford. I think Matheus Cunha ends in a high at the Molineux scoring 2. And I wouldn't be surprised if Strand Larsen gets on the score sheet as well. That being said, ladies and gents, that brings my prediction video to an end, and the prediction videos to an end for the season of season 24-25. A big thank you for joining me throughout all these weeks throughout the season. They're the best videos on the channel. They get the most support. I love the interaction in the comment section. Obviously, I did it every week last year, then every week this year. I'll do every week again next year because of all the support I get. I appreciate it. Thank you for dealing with these constant videos, these longer videos. I know I like to yap in these videos, but I appreciate your support throughout. Thanks for the whole support that the whole season. I guess is the opportunity to shout you guys out. Thank you for it, whether it be the reaction videos, prediction videos, podcasts. It's been a long year, not the most consistent year by myself, considering I went away to different points of the year, but you guys keep turning up and kept showing me the views and the likes and the comments, which I absolutely appreciate. We'll be back for next season, all the predictions, but thank you for joining me throughout all 38 games here for the Premier League predictions. It is much appreciated. With that being said, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are your predictions? What are your thoughts on my predictions? If you enjoyed the video, smash a like and subscribe to the Players Zone channel. Press that post notification bell if you want to see more videos and content here in the channel coming in the off season. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Enjoy the weekend's football action. I'll see you guys for the video or podcast very, very soon. And most importantly, I'll see you guys for the prediction video, match day 1 in season 25-26. See you next time, guys. See you later.